Good evening. Welcome to StonesCast 74. We're recording this on the evening of 26th of March, the night after a rather humbling and crashing down to earth defeat at Aldershot Town. We've got a lot to cover today. 4 games in pretty much 10 days. Lots of trials and tribulations, players coming and going. We're in the relegation zone, we're out the relegation zone. And of course, there is a huge set of fixtures coming up as we approach the end of the season. I'm your host for tonight, Adam Hills. I've got a star-studded cast and panel joining me this evening, and I'd like to welcome in order. First of all, Mr. David Leech.
Good evening.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good stuff. Also joining us is the coach leader, Mr. David Reeder. How are you, Dave?
Good evening, everybody. Evening, Hills. Evening, everybody.
Good stuff. And of course, the most well-known man at the club, Mr. Alex Gordon.
Evening, how's
How are you, mate?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Good
Been
stuff.
better.
Dave, we've got 2 Daves. I've just realised that. Mr. Leech, I've just realised you're letting the clan down with no Willstone regalia of any kind.
I have got a shirt, it's too small for me.
That's fair play. I'm only wearing this one.
Tight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only wearing this one because I've just had a bout of food poisoning. It's just about the only way I've been able to fit into it. So,
yeah.
Good. You have to
Apologies.
find something in the background now. All good. So, where do we start? It's obviously, like I say, been a busy on the pitch and off the pitch. I'm sure we'll come on to it later because obviously we've had an announcement about the stadium and a bit of movement on that. So we'll come to that. I think it's worth maybe starting on just reflecting on Cast 73 when Paul Franklin hosted with Chris Warren and Tom. I kind of re-listened to that today and it was real doom and gloom kind of 10 days ago going into the Eastleigh game. And of course, at half-time of the Eastleigh game, we were in real trouble. Dave Leech, I'll start with you. Kind of coming out of that run of fixtures, and where were you at half-time at the Eastleigh game?
I think at half-time at the Eastleigh game, I think like most of the crowd, I was fearing the worst. I thought, we conceded 3. I thought, quite weak goals really, and didn't really show much in that first half to make me think that we'd have a comeback like we did. Yes, I think the 2 substitutions, the second half made a huge difference. At half time, I was thinking the worst. I was probably thinking we look like a relegation team here. We kind of, especially after conceding, 4 in the previous 2 matches, you kind of start to think that we're shipping too many goals here. And when you start shipping that many goals, your mind sort of thinks, well, you're in relegation form. And, Eastleigh hadn't really looked that good in that first half. They did create, obviously they got near our goal, but it seemed as if every time they got near our goal, they'd create something that was going in. And it was, as I say, up to that half-time point, I think that I'm always a bit of a glass half full fan. I kind of like to think positively, but I think at halftime at that point, I was thinking, we're looking like we're going to go down here.
I'm just conscious Mr. Reeder might be having a few little issues here, so I'm just going to try something in the background as we go. Alex, from your perspective, Dave's mentioned there about the defensive frailties, and a certain Mr. Mariappa was replaced at half-time. What's been your assessment of the defensive performances, and is Mariappa perhaps a little bit harshly blamed, or is it solely down to him?
I think in some cases it just seems to be that he's been at the centre of each of the mistakes, if you will. I think one of the first of what I can remember was Eastleigh away, where he's kind of dived into a challenge, kind of supposing to be that experienced player, and we've conceded from it. And I think from there there's just been it can be a bit unfair because I think he's sort of been an easy target, being that experienced player. I think we've expected a lot more. I think directly leading to the goals that we've conceded would be an unfair assessment. But I think it's the fact that everyone's expected a lot more. I think you bring in a Premier League defender, very, very experienced defender. You expect to be kind of tight at the back, hard to concede against. You expect him to bring that experience and everyone to follow around him. And it's not been the case. It's really almost been him coming in and learning from the others and trying to almost catch up to speed, really. The Eastleigh game, yeah, and obviously, and we'll obviously come on to it, but Aldershot last night, he obviously came on and we conceded 3 within 10 minutes. So it doesn't look great. And I wasn't at Eastleigh, but off what you're telling me, he came off at half time and then we scored 3. Is that right? So,
correct.
Yeah, I mean, the stats don't lie. It doesn't look great. So maybe there is problems there that we need to look into. But I think to directly blame him for our defensive woes that we've had recently so far, especially with the 4-1 and the 4-1 again, taking centre of attention with that. I think to directly blame him is unrealistic, really, because we've got another 3 or 4 defenders in that defence who we can look at. So
it's a strange one, of course, because sandwiched in between the 4 and the 3 was 2 clean sheets, of which he came on when whoever it was got injured. Was it Josh Grant got injured in the Altrincham game, and then he was in the team of the week, the Vanarama team of the week for the Woking performance. So it seems just real Jekyll and Hyde with him and with our defence collectively. But nevertheless, at 3-0, I'm not sure many people saw a comeback. But Dave, coming to you, Dave Reader.
Yes.
We obviously made some changes and we saw 2 of our new signings, Mustafa Carriol and Tyler Walker, introduced alongside Alex Dyer at half-time at Eastleigh. And what was your recollection of that game? Did you get a feeling that we were ever going to get back into it, or was it when that first goal went in?
None whatsoever. At half time, it was probably, I think we all came off thinking probably one of the worst halves of football we've seen all season. And I could see a 4 or 5-0 hammering on. So where that second half came from, I think, like you mentioned Alex Dyer, I think he went under the radar a little when he came on. I think he was excellent. And obviously, when you score 3 goals in the second half, it's the guys up top who get all the plaudits. But I just thought Dyer, he just controls everything. He keeps everything calm, calms everything down. And I thought he went under the radar a little bit. I thought he was excellent. Walker looked as though he played with Reed for years. A brilliant comeback, like I said. But it sort of sums our season up. There's just we can't consistently get 2 really good halves of football.
If you look at those 2 halves, okay, personnel is the obvious answer, but what changed? What dramatically changed between that first half and the second half?
It's nuts, isn't it? I don't know. You could argue that the manager did his job at half time. Then you can probably say the same about Aldershot last night, with the managers coming and done his bit at half time. And again, they came out looking a different team, and we did against Eastleigh. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
I've got a great watch, a great game of football, if you like, but for the neutral, if you like. But I did think we was on the end of a hammering. So, all plaudits to the players for that one. They did fantastically turn it round.
Yeah, and of course, and Alex Reed's leveller to make it 3-3, I thought was a great limbs moment. Like, the crowd really came alive. And let's not forget, Tyler Walker had probably the best chance of all one-on-one to have won it. It was a case of almost what could have felt a little bit like 2 points dropped, but I guess you can't see it from that perspective, given the position we're in at half time. So yeah, that was Eastleigh, and that seemed to then kickstart confidence or something, because we went to Altrincham on the Tuesday night, which I know I don't think any of us were part of the 37 heroes and heroines who braved Altrincham on that Tuesday night, and fair play to anyone who did that last year as well. But yeah, I mean, it felt like a good time to play Altrincham. They've been off form. Obviously, they'd lost their sort of talisman, Regan Linney, who I think was serving his last game of suspension. But I mean, Dave Leech, I'll start with you. Did you give us any chance? Do you have any hope going into that Altrincham game?
I felt. I mean, it's been a season of fine margins. You know, I've gone from one game thinking, I can't see us getting a result, and then after they have like a comeback like they did in that second half against Eastleigh, you start to think really positively, because you think if they're capable of that, then they've clearly got the ability now with Walker and with Reed up front to take it to teams. And, I mean, so I kind of felt a lot more optimistic after the final, the 3-3 draw at home to Eastleigh. And I thought it was a really, really strong team performance. We just looked, we controlled. I mean, one of the things I'd say this season is we've kind of like gone in and out of games where we've controlled it and then lost control of it. And I suppose it's like football generally, but it seems more so this season with Wealdstone. There's been, like halves where we've been good and halves where we've been poor. And I just thought we gave quite an even performance at Altrincham, and a wonderful goal as well from Reed from across from Hutchinson. So, Jack Cook played really well. I thought that it was a really good all-round team performance. Like Carriol, like the way he was coming on and was running, stretching the team, stretching Altrincham with like last 20 minutes. I just thought we had added a few more weapons with the signings that we'd made, and yeah, I thought it was a really good all-round performance.
There was a theme actually from Cast 73 that the guys were talking about, a real lack of pace in the squad, and with Hutchinson's perhaps not re-emergence because he'd been around for a few games before, but he's really stepped up alongside Carriol, who's given us a real sense of dynamism and directness on both wings. And obviously, as you said, Hutchinson's great work to get to the byline, and how Reed has squeezed that header in from where he did. I think a couple of you boys were at the club, right? There must have been a decent celebration when that went in.
Very much. Yeah, very much so was there, Dave. I think it was all jumping around.
Absolutely. there must have been probably as many down the club as actually went on. So probably 37 at the game, and there's about 37 down the club as well. So it was, it was a hearty roar went up when the goal went in.
I would say to anyone who hasn't done that, if they can't get to away games, it's definitely worth going down the club to watch the games, because you get a good atmosphere with a lot of the regular supporters going down there, talking about the game as it's being played. And I just think it's quite a nice feeling, and obviously just it's good to support the club as well. So yeah, if there are away games that people can't get to that are midweek, I definitely recommend getting down the club and watching them, because obviously buying the drinks there, money's going to the club, but it's a good atmosphere as well.
Did you just have the one telly on, or did you have a couple?
Two, I think. There was the
one round the side.
Yeah, the one in the middle, and one in as you come in, as you come into the clubhouse, there was one there on as well. I think there was two, unless Dave knows there was more on. I think there was.
That put as many on as needed to be on, I think, weren't they? So,
yeah.
No, it was good. It was good.
And Alex, you watched the game, right?
I didn't know.
You didn't? Okay. I won't ask you this question then. But
no, I saw some of the highlights, but no, that was about it, really.
Well, we can't, of course, let Altrincham go by not acknowledging what was ultimately a pretty controlled and as you said, Dave, quite a rounded performance that so nearly didn't get its rewards when I forget the guy's name, Matty Costello smashes one from 25 yards, bending away, and comes down off the other side of the bar. I thought it was lucky that it didn't hit Gunter on the back of the head or something. Would have been summed up our season, quite frankly. But I mean, what went through your mind as he's hit that?
I thought it was in.
I thought it was in. Yep.
What was the reaction of the club like?
You could see it swerve, couldn't you? You could see it swerve away, and I thought he's going to take it away from the keeper. But yeah, the footballing gods were looking down on us.
It was like a goal had gone in when it didn't go in, if you know what I mean. If it hit the bar and went away, and then it got cleared out of play, it was a bit of a cheer went up like a goal had gone in.
Yeah.
You know, it meant we know it was such an important moment in the match, you know.
Yeah, and a absolutely monumental 3 points that night. And if I recall, it was a busy night of National League fixtures that night, and I think a few of our rivals picked up points. So I don't think we necessarily went anywhere in the table. We might have gone up one place, but it kind of kept us in touch. And then that brought us to Saturday and to Woking, non-league day, vibrant crowd at the Vale, decent turnout from Woking. I mean, where do you start with that? I actually missed the first, I think, 25 minutes of the game, and by all accounts, I didn't really miss much. I don't think a lot happened in those opening exchanges. I think Gunter made a fairly routine save over the bar.
They were on top.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
Woking were on top first 35 minutes of that game. I think they didn't really create any chances, but they kind of ran the game, I thought.
Okay.
Like they sort of had more of the ball, but I never felt threatened by them at all. I just didn't. I didn't think they carried the least amount of threat up top.
It looked like he was just.
Sorry,
it looked like he was just going to go out to be a naff 0-0, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
As we always.
So again,
much better second half.
Yeah. So there's been a sort of a suggestion, certainly over the last 3 home games, because obviously Eastleigh, 3 goals first half downhill, 3 goals second half downhill. The goal Saturday came downhill, and all 4 goals yesterday came downhill. I know there's always been that view that certainly for us, attacking the Buller is, you know, some of the big limbs moments have come there. That's maybe an obvious thing to say, but is the slope at the Vale, or the hill, as Neil Ardley referred to it, has it become more of a thing, or is it just a coincidence of the last few games? How much of Alex, maybe I'll start with you. How much of a difference does playing downhill towards the Buller make for either team?
Yeah, I think it's a massive difference. I think we've definitely seen it really kind of randomly. It never really got noticed before, but definitely been realising it. So last night, obviously, I'm fairly certain that they may have switched ends or something like that. I wasn't there for kickoff, but I'm fairly certain that so we were shooting obviously towards down the hill first half, and I was saying to I think Nikhil and Tom, I can't remember a time where we've been winning at half time where we've shot downhill first half and then we've been winning and then we've gone on to lose the game. I've never experienced like an Aldershot last night where we were so confident at half time because obviously we were so controlling of the game. Yeah, exactly. Well, we were so controlling of the game. But on to your question, I think definitely opposition managers realise it more than most games in their post-match, especially in previous years as well. They've spoke about like going downhill and stuff like that, and it has an advantage. And you know, when the referee does the toss at the start of the game, we're always looking as to which way we're going. So I think it's always been there, but kind of no one's really spoke about it, really, I guess. But 100% there's an advantage there. 100%. I'd much rather shoot that way second half, well, based off our apart from obviously last night, but it just seems like we're in the second half.
I might be clutching at straws and looking into something that ain't there, but does the fact that we've had work done on the pitch over last summer, has that somehow exacerbated it? Maybe I'm asking any questions for green fingers or something like that, but do we think the drainage work has exacerbated it somehow?
I'm not too sure. I think maybe we get a lot more confidence from attacking that end because obviously we've got our supporters up that end. I don't know. Maybe maybe it's just coincidental. I mean, I think for us attacking that end, it's definitely a factor because I think that we get the crowd behind us, and I think that the players probably get more energy from that, and the fact that the ball's running down the hill and it's harder for the defenders. Maybe the away teams have got wind of it that it's it is a bit of an advantage, and it does make play a little bit easier. It puts defenders maybe under a little bit more pressure. But I'm just thinking whether it's just a more recent thing and it just happens to be a coincidence. I'm not too sure really. That's just my thought on it. The pitch. I mean, the pitch seems to be. I mean, through no fault of the groundsman, I think he's doing a great job with it. It just seems to be very different from game to game, depending on the weather. Because obviously, I don't think we have a sprinkler system, do we? So. I think that sometimes it seems a bit dry and sometimes it can be a bit sticky. So I don't know. Underfoot, it's. I mean, unless you're actually playing, I wouldn't really know about that, to be honest.
Yeah, it was amazing actually, given how wet it's been over the last goodness knows how long. And then I think for the Eastleigh game, it looked bone dry. It's amazing what just a few days of the dry sun does on it. But back to the Woking game. I'm just going to hopefully pop the goal on screen again, just because, it's got to be watched again. Let me just pop this
I'm fairly certain that next morning, I mean, we obviously all went out on the Saturday. It was kind of like, we're going to go out after that. And I think I must have watched it about 17, 20 times the next morning, just lying in bed.
It's just brilliant. There's just so much
getting involved with the celebrations, by the way.
Yeah, just that moment from as the camera pans across and you can kind of see the Brian Collins stand in the background with arms going nuts. We'll watch it one more time. Just the anticipation. It's just for a last-minute winner. I don't think it gets much better than that.
No, not at all.
Absolutely,
I mean, the
brilliant
composure of him to that late in the game, that how important it was to even kind of took himself, so he didn't take a touch round and try to just not look and just have a swipe at it. He's taken a touch, composed, seen the goal open, bang, and so from such an inexperienced player, yes, he's such a good player, but an inexperienced player in the professional game. I mean, yeah, he's such a young lad as well, and he's and even apart from the goal, when he came on, he just completely changed it. Because I was saying in the first half, it was a shit first half, and I was saying at half time, just Walker and Reed, for how good they were, I must have been able to count on one hand how many touches they both had together. Like there was just nothing going into them at all. And Cisse came on and he just completely changed that. He by himself completely changed that. Got the ball, drove with it, created. I can't put into words how good he was. I think that is 100% his best performance. I mean, he was fantastic at Oldham on the final day of last season, but he was absolutely immense.
He seemed to sort of play with a freedom, and he seemed to be playing a lot further forwards as well, because he was really getting forward and joining the attacks. And I think a word as well for Enzio, because he's set up, the goal there. Brilliant reverse pass. Dave Reader, I assume you were in the Brian Collins. What was the view like from the side then and the celebrations?
The view from there was, I thought, beautiful. I thought we'd taken it too wide. It looked such a tight angle. We were always bang in line with it, and it looked such a tight angle. But he didn't, like Alex said, he was so composed with it. He didn't thrash out, he didn't smash it. He took his time, placed it, But I did initially. I thought a great chance he's gone too wide with it. But yeah, and then when it hit the back of the net, it was because we had pretty much a limbs moment in the Eastleigh game and we got the equaliser there. But this one surpassed it certainly. Great finish. And say love when you look at I think it was it's Martin Seal's goals, isn't it? And if you see it from behind the goal, you see how good the pass was. And Cisse knew where to make the runners work. Great finish, beautiful finish. But yeah, it was a fantastic moment in the Brian Collins.
Yeah, it felt a massive moment in our season, and it obviously took us. I think we were in the bottom four, but at the start of the game, and we opened up a little bit, even if it was just a couple of points. I think we were 18th at the end of Saturday. It felt a very, very season-defining moment, and to finally do it in front of a big crowd, non-league day, I can't help but think that days like that and moments like that are such a big factor in continuing the sort of the community growth of the club.
It felt like Chesterfield at home last season. That's what it felt like. So late on in the season, and the Silver same. He went around the keeper, right? Exactly the same.
The Silver's one was
Chesterfield.
It was a back pass, and then he got onto it. Did he go around the keeper, or did he?
No, I think he just put it in before the keeper got there. But
it was exactly the same, down the same on that same side.
Yeah.
And then everyone's kind of running to the front. Exactly, it literally felt exactly the same. And obviously we were where we were at that point. I think we may have even been exactly the same position in both games. So it was how important 3 points was. Exactly opposite to that Chesterfield game, really.
And
I think as a club, you want those moments where you get those last minute winners, because if people haven't experienced it before, the first time they've come along and they've experienced that, you realise how great it is when it's a last minute goal and the whole crowd sort of erupts, and just the sort of atmosphere afterwards. I mean, when we went into the clubhouse afterwards, it was just euphoria. It was quite, a lot of people were really still buzzing, and a few people were singing. And I just think that it's, for a fan base to have those moments, especially for a team that kind of doesn't, I should say, we're not expecting them to, but, isn't playing for the title or, isn't winning lots of games. You want those moments, during the season where you have these really great moments. And that was one of them.
Yeah, it really was. And in fact, I'm going to kind of ask this question because we've been spoiled in the last couple of years with limbs moments at the Buller. Just a quick kind of round the table, Dave Reader, I'll start with you. Where did that Woking goal register in your limbs league table?
It was every bit as good as the Barnet winner.
Wow.
The previous year, Barker's header. That was a link. Even though that one cost me money because I had Cookie as last scorer, but that cost me a couple of £100 that one. But yeah, no, it felt as good as that. Like you say, because it felt like not maybe not as you say season defining, but it felt like it was a game we needed to win and we won it, and then we had to put up with the disappointment of last night, which. It's a 1 step forward, 2 steps back scenario.
Yeah,
but,
that is football, isn't it? Though you have the great moments, you have the highs and then the lows, and it was so good for me. I think that it was the best I've seen at the Vale because I wasn't at the home Barnet game. I think it's up there with the away Barnet game when we got that last minute goal there. So I think it's on a par with that for me.
Alex?
I'm just kind of thinking in my head. I don't think anything will beat for me that Charlie Barker last minute at the Vale going down towards the Buller. I don't think anything will beat that. I'm just kind of ticking off in my head. Obviously, Reece Brown, the 1-0 against Barnet a few seasons ago. That was also.
That wasn't at the Buller though, was it?
That was are you talking at the Vale? Or are you talking?
Yeah, I'm talking about Buller limbs.
Okay. Well, are you talking goals going down towards the Villa? Because I think there was still
I guess
Lind
so.
in
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of another one, but it has to be up there. I don't think it beats Dorking for me. I think Dorking still beat Woking. I think because especially that third goal, because we were literally relegated at half time, and then to come back and Dorking lives long in the memory. Might even beat Barnet. No, it doesn't beat Barnet for me. But I mean it has to be top three, at least top five. Just unbelievable, just absolutely unbelievable. And I suppose the crowd's been only getting bigger every season. So you're looking back on them like Barnet games, and you're looking back on like the years before as well, when we've scored important goals, when we've scored late goals. The crowd's been a lot smaller, and yes, it is, everyone's involved and stuff like that, and it feels the same. But I suppose the magnitude of how many people now that we're growing as a club, for more people to experience that, for more people to be jumping on everyone. I mean, you just have to look at that Cisse goal. I mean, even Cook's diving in there, and you got so many people around that area. And I think maybe two or 3 years ago, you didn't get that. You would get something similar, but I don't think anything of a magnitude of that, which kind of fills into kind of that limbs moment of what people were experiencing. So I think it would have to slide into the top three, and I think you kind of have to take into consideration what it will mean come the end of the season. I think if we stay up by a point or something like that, or we stay up by 2 points, that extra 2 points that we got that day instead of the draw, it'll mean so much more. So I think you kind of have to wait until the end of the season and kind of see what it means as well. So I think maybe top five at the moment, but if we stay up, I think it slides into the top three for me.
Fair. I think what was great as well was most of the people were still in the ground, because we know a lot of people like to slink off before the end and get their pint. And maybe actually, some people had already started to make their way to the corner, which, given the way the camera angle is, you've got such a throng of people going nuts. It's just a perfect capture of that moment.
Do you know what? I think for the first time, I think because we were dominating so much in that second half, and just everyone knew there was a goal coming. And for the first time, normally you're seeing streaks of people going out like maybe it's like 1-1, or it's even when we're losing like 1-0 or 2-0 or something like that, there's streaks of people kind of moving out. But for the first time, there was no one. Even 93, 94 minutes in. Gunter obviously made an unbelievable save. That was before the goal, wasn't it?
That was
before, wasn't it? Yeah,
that was a couple minutes before the goal. Yeah, because they put a ball in and he's had the strike. So Gunter made an unbelievable save. But even then, people weren't moving out, because everyone could feel something was coming. Just extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to somebody next to me, and I was actually saying, I think it's quite a good point, really. I think, it's been quite an even game. We've got to be happy with a point rather than getting nothing, and then literally, I think it was just after that when Gunter made the save, and then obviously we went up and scored the winner. And I turned around to the guy I'd said that to, and we were laughing because, he'd been saying, I think we should deserve to win this. And I was kind of saying, don't know, I thought we played well, but it's one of them games that could have gone either way. But an absolutely fantastic moment. And I think that I do think with Cisse, I think that I'm not sure everyone in that position would have been able to take that. He's got very quick feet, isn't he? And I think that, just to get around the keeper and just to slide in from that angle, he still had a fair bit to do, I thought. Yeah.
There was a spell, I think 10 minutes into the second half, where we absolutely peppered their goal, and how we didn't score, I don't know. McAvoy had one kicked off the line or saved on the line. He had a header. Dyer had a shot deflected just past the post. Hutchinson drew it. I was worried at that point that you always say score when you're on top, and we had 4 or 5 brilliant chances and we didn't take them. and I was worried we'd get sucker punched or not capitalised. So, and Dave Reader must have been quite the scenes in the clubhouse afterwards.
I didn't stay in the clubhouse afterwards. I couldn't stay there Saturday, actually. I would have done. I would have massively enjoyed them, as you well know. But yeah, it had, like as you say, they could have nicked it. I mean, you think they're desperate for points, Woking. They're right down in the mix there, and actually put us above them by beating them. So they're by no means out of trouble. But I did think, right near the end, as you say, when you're on top, when you have that spell, that's all the pundits will say. That's when you've got to score. When you're in control. I think the keeper made a great double save as well, didn't he? Was it off McAvoy, a double save? The one that scrambled off the line. I think it was a great double.
That was an unbelievable save.
Yeah.
It had that feel of we're never going to score it.
It was a triple save because I'm fairly certain maybe it was a corner as a cross come in. I think it was a corner. McAvoy headed and he's literally diving the other way and it's going the other corner. Somehow he saved it, got back up, maybe made another save a couple of seconds later from McAvoy again, got a kind of rebound shot and then it rebounded somewhere else and he made another save. I think as good as Cisse was, you have to give it to Jääskeläinen in goal for Woking. I think I haven't seen a better performance from a goalkeeper at the Vale than that ever. He was unbelievable. And even apart from that triple save, he was just, incredible. Absolutely incredible.
So let's move on then from the highs and the jubilation of that last minute run at Woking to last night's game with Aldershot. And at half time, at sort of 8:30, 8:45 last night, with us winning and a goal to the good through very good, quite similar goal actually to Cisse's, Dom Hutchinson's goal. I think Boston were drawing at that point. Now, obviously, come 45 minutes later and everything's turned around, we rather tamely capitulated last night. Dave Reader, what was your take on that?
As you say, at half time, we were 6 points clear of relegation, and again, it's fine margins, isn't it? McAvoy hits the post, we could have gone in 2-0, would have been a different game. And I have to say, fair play to Aldershot. As poor as we were second half, and I think Cook going off made a big difference. You've got to sometimes sit back and say, whatever was said in the Aldershot dressing room certainly galvanised them and got them going. And I thought they were excellent second half. They just overpowered us, outplayed us, overpowered us. They moved the ball so quickly. And they moved it with pace, they moved it with purpose, and we just couldn't compete. And again, when you go back to some of the players who we had out there, with Dyer would have made a big difference in there. Cook going off injured. I mean, they scored twice within about 3 minutes of Cook going off, I believe. Clinical finishing. Two great saves from Gunter, but we never picked the rebound up, and we never cleared our lines. And I just think something. Just got to hold your hands up. Aldershot come out and played, and they were worth the win, and we couldn't compete on the night. And it's such a downer from such a great win Saturday, 94th minute winner. You're all up. I went into last night expecting something, and we got the first half against Eastleigh in the second half, if you like.
Yeah, they've Aldershot have certainly been a side on good form lately. I think they've won 8 of their last 9 or something like that. Dave Leech, was there a sense of inevitability when that leveller went in?
I think they'd been building up to it because I think we played well for about a good half an hour, and like you said, we I think it was McAvoy hit the post, and I think that Reed had a good shout for a penalty. But I thought that the second half, I thought they were on top, and when it went 1-1, I just thought unless they were going to make some changes, forward wise, I think we were going to struggle. There's some talk, wasn't there, about I noticed that we had different players in midfield, some suggesting that there's been some illness and some injuries. it's often hard to tell. Sometimes you can concede a goal, and it can really, it gives you a kick, doesn't it, to sort of get your act together and start going forward again. But it seemed to have a draining effect on us. And I don't know, we just didn't seem to have that extra gear, whether it was because we'd played on the Saturday, or whether it was because we had a few players out injured, but there didn't seem to be that spark there to get something going. And it wasn't a surprise to me. I thought it was the second goal where I think the guy who scored it was a great shot, but I think he was given a bit too much room. I don't know if I haven't seen a replay of it. I've only seen it on the once. He just seemed to be, quite a lot of time to think about what he was doing. And he hit it beautifully, but at the same time, you think maybe should have he been shut down a bit more quickly. And I just thought the second half was very disappointing. But my understanding is there has been some mitigating circumstances. So I thought once they went 2-1 up, I couldn't see us getting back into it. And those goals, like 3 goals, I think was in 11 minutes. So once the third went in, I couldn't. We didn't actually show any way that we were going to score. I don't think we had any chances towards the end. So we kind of. I thought obviously the first 20 minutes, I thought we were terrific. Wonderful goal from Hutchinson, who I'm really pleased to see him back, because I thought he was a bit harsh that he went out on loan at the start of the season, because I thought he'd done well at the start of the season. Maybe there was a couple of chances that he may have not taken, but I thought he was a real he was a real threat for us at the start of the season. And I thought I didn't think it was a good decision. I think he went out on loan within a week or two of being man of the match against Fylde in a home game, and I just thought, I'm really pleased to see him doing well again, and I think he's taken his chance with both hands. But it was very disappointing in the second half, I thought, and I couldn't really see us getting back into it once we went a couple of goals down.
We sort of mentioned earlier, that's kind of 4 games in 10, maybe 11 days. Is there a bit of a case to maybe expect that from tired legs, Alex? Is that an excuse to a kind of allow, so to speak?
I think it's one of them where when we went on a good run near kind of that December, January time, and everyone was saying, and that Boston game got postponed. I'm fairly certain that was the time. And some people were saying it was a good thing because tired legs, and some people were saying it's a bad thing because of the form that we're in. You're taking that momentum. I'm fully on the momentum side. I think that we were well in our right to win that game, and we could have won that game. But I just think that was I think it solely. I've been wrapping my head around it, but I think it solely has to be that change of Cook coming on for Mariappa, and it breaks my heart because McAvoy had a chance and he literally hit the post inches away from nail it into the bottom corner. And it was literally minutes before then the change was made, and that would have been 2-0 and plain sailing, 6 points clear, and ultimately looking to be safe. And so it just comes down to, obviously, we all know it's all about moments. So for me, I think Dave was right, Leech was right. It was, he got way too much time on the edge of the box. I don't think we showed him that time. There was a couple. They had their chances, and I don't think we gave him that time. I think we defended well up until that point of the change. And there's only one answer for it, is that when Mariappa came on, he didn't get us organised, and we didn't have that structure. There wasn't someone on the edge of the box to be there to, once we had got the ball out, there wasn't someone to take on that press. It wasn't just. It was literally just clear it out, and then there was no one there, and he had all the time in the world to put it into the bottom corner. A great strike, but didn't look organised, didn't look structured. Even when it went to 1-1, it always looked like they were going to score. We just completely lost our shape, and you have to put it down to that change, unfortunately.
I think that's what I found most disappointing about last night, is just and it's happened a few times. It happened at Tamworth that as soon as things are going against us, a red card or we concede, mentally we are shot to pieces. And I just never felt like we were going to get anything out of that game when that first goal went in. People like, and I'm not going to pick on him in, well, I am, but I don't just mean him. Harrison Sona, I think, is a tidy footballer who knits us nicely together when we are playing on the front foot. But when we're on the back foot, I think there's a lot that's left to be desired. Now, perhaps quite rightly you say it's hard to expect he's still a young kid. And again, there are experienced players within our squad who need to stand up and be counted, who aren't being counted in that instance. But I think there's a repetitive theme there about a real lack of backbone and resilience to us when things aren't going our way or when we're kind of on the back foot.
Well, I think that's where you need your experienced players, though. Everyone's been brought into this side because they've got a role to play, and you're bringing in young players like Cisse and Sonia to bring the ball forward for us, to create things, to have a bit of magic, to have that X factor what Taryn had. And I think they've done that. I mean, Sonia had that free kick against Ebbsfleet. I mean, he's been fantastic from set pieces. He's created things on the front foot. And obviously, it doesn't take away from the fact that, he should be able to know how to defend. Well, I think that sounds a lot harsher than I actually mean. But
yeah.
He needs to be led by someone, and that's why you bring in experienced players for exact situations like that. So to bring on, and you can't get more experience than a Premier League player who's been a Premier League captain, and to bring him on and then to capitulate like that, it goes against everything of why we signed him in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay. I think when you talk about that, it is interesting because the one when we look back at Stuart Maynard's team. The team was largely made up of 20-year-olds on loan from Fulham and Charlton, or guys that are in their early 20s who weren't quite getting a game at National League clubs, but were coming to us, and we were turning them into sort of really good National League players like Alarakia and Josh Umera, for example. And this season's been completely different. We've signed a lot of experienced players, guys that have played hundreds of games at this level, and or higher. And I think that's kind of the thing that you want to see, don't you? You want to see kind of leadership. And I think that to look at our position in the table, I think that's probably the thing that's disappointed me this season. Sorry. Oh, marvelous. I think that's probably disappointed me this season, is that we've got a lot of experienced players out there, and obviously in quite a low position. But I know it's a tough league. I know that it is a league that's getting ever more difficult, as we can see from that league table, because there's about 6 or 7 teams there at the bottom that are they could throw a net over. But that's one thing that's disappointed me a little bit this season, is just possibly just with so many experienced players, there's been at times a lack of leadership.
So let's take a little bit of a look forward.
The question and answer.
Sorry, go on, Dave. Go on, Dave.
Dave Reader.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I went to the manager's question and answer night, and he alluded to the fact of sort of hinting at sort of that not mental disintegration, but if we go ahead in the game, he gets a feel we're going to get something out of the game. As soon as we go behind in the game, he actually said he gets a feel that we're not going to get anything out of the game, and so he recognises there is that factor about this squad, that it's like a weakness of the mental side of it. He alluded to that. So if he can recognise what can he do about it? That's the thing.
It is the side that he's inherited as well. After all, really, he hasn't. He's. I mean, other than the 2 guys he's brought in last week, you'd say that he's having to work with people that have been brought in before he was here. So I don't. As I say, I don't really blame the management. I think if you look at it, what have they won? They've won 5 games in the last couple of months, and the previous manager won 5 games in 6 months. So I kind of think that I don't blame the management team at all. I think that it's there's just times you just think they in some of the games where, as we've talked about, there seems to have been very uneven. Like we've had a very good half and then a poor half. You know, it's maybe takes someone to just get the group by the scruff of the neck and just say, "Come on, lads, you know, we need to reel this back in." And at times that just hasn't happened. So yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to, really.
So we are still out of the relegation zone. We're 2 points clear. Sorry, let me just pop that table back up. We popped up a little bit too soon, but yeah, game in hand on Dagenham as well. Obviously, Boston are the form team. They've been in a cracking run of form over the last few weeks, and they've given themselves a real chance. They obviously come to the Vale next Tuesday, but we've got the visit to York this Saturday, and we continue this Tuesday, Saturday. I don't know how much though that illness, the injuries are going to affect us Saturday, but I'll throw this out to anyone. Does anyone go to York Saturday with any hope? And I know I've asked that about Altrincham, but can anyone see us getting out of York?
I'm going with hope because I've gone there twice thinking we wouldn't get anything, and we won both games. But that's my heart.
But York weren't second in the league for them.
We're 3 of our next 4 games are against first, second, and third. And the table doesn't. I'm not going to beat about the bush here. I'm more worried now than I was in any other week of the season. I struggle to see how we're going to get a point out the next 4 games. I really do, and I think we can set a flirt with that bottom 4. If we're not careful, we could be firmly entrenched in it in 2 weeks' time.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, I'm going. We've only ever won at York. Let's make it a hat trick.
Yep. York, of course, had a thumping win at Rochdale last night as well. They're trying, and they're clearly not giving up the ghost of trying to catch Barnet, although I saw some video that statistically Barnet are 99.97 sure to win the title now. But fair play to York. They'll keep going, and we know they've got seriously dangerous players. They were very impressive when they came down to the Vale. Alex, Dave Leech, you going to York? Are you expecting anything? Hoping for anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going, unfortunately. I'm in hope every game we play because, you know, I think there's been times this season. I think we drew 2-2 at Forest Green, and I wasn't expecting us to get anything there. The only thing I would say is we haven't got a good record against the top 6. I don't think we've beaten any of them. I think the closest to the top 6 we've beaten is Rochdale at home. So, you know, I'm not expecting it, but it wouldn't surprise me if we got something. We've got 2, you know, really good strikers. If the midfield are back fit, you know, I wouldn't rule it out. I kind of believe in the players in this team. I just think that they just need to be consistent. I mean, they've just been very inconsistent. So I think I genuinely, and I know it sounds a bit foolhardy, but I think we could get something there. Yeah.
Alex, you going?
Not going. No, I'm refereeing duties. But you know, we've won there twice. We almost seem to be. I don't want to say they're bogey team. I'm not too familiar with our home record against them.
I can't remember twice, and then we lost this season. So we beat them 4 out of 5 times in the National League.
Yes. I was going to say bogey team, but maybe at their place. I guess playing Willstone at home may be their bit of a bogey, but I mean, I hope it is anyways because obviously I think Cook's out for it. Dyer seems to be out for it. I think Kretschmar, Cisse was limping towards the end of the game, which didn't look great. Kretschmar, I don't think looks fully fit. I think without them players on the pitch, Randall's out again, and without them players, I mean, it's all well and good having Walker and Reed up front, but if they're not going to get the ball, then we may as well have Jay Bird up front, you know.
Well, did you see his goal against Oldham the other week?
Well, yeah, exactly. I don't know where that was. I don't know where that was at fucking Needham Market, but There you
Yeah,
go.
I do agree with you though. I think a lot depends on the side, on the 11 that gets put out, because I actually agree with you, Dave Leech. I think if we have a decent 11, then I think playing on a decent pitch in the front of it, I think the players will raise their game. Whether that's going to be good enough to even land a blow on York, who knows? It's interesting though, because York and Forest Green, you know, mentally they must know they're not going to win the league. And I think sometimes you see these teams, they kind of, especially as they're kind of clear of third and fourth and fifth, sometimes you can see a bit of a dip of form as these teams go, right, we've got to raise our game again for the playoffs. I actually wonder, especially Forest Green, they've really given up the ghost a bit lately, whether it's actually perhaps not a bad time to be playing those teams. But yeah, I mean, we go to York with who knows what squad we can put out. And then it's the mammoth 6-pointer against Boston next Tuesday. Third time of asking. Obviously, the game's been called off twice. Don't think there's any chance of that. There's more chance of us playing on a sand bowl than it getting rained off again. But I mean, you know, we've got these 3 massive games: Boston, home and away, and Maidenhead. How do we go about winning that game? Dave Reader, maybe I'll come to you first there.
But the Maidenhead game, again, are we going to target, if we've got blokes who are 50-50 injury-wise for Saturday, are we more likely to target Tuesday night's game and hold them back for this Saturday?
Yeah.
That's,
yeah,
as I said, Cookie, I heard that Cookie's a definite worry. Hutchinson got subbed, was limping off at half-time, holding the top of his leg. I don't know if anybody else saw that. So, again, I could see us having quite a weak side on Saturday just to try and target Tuesday night. But Boston, I mean, they're about second or third in the form table, aren't they? I think they're absolutely flying.
Yeah.
Big Southend last night.
Yeah, comfortably.
There's 3 games we've got to win, and that's Boston twice and Maidenhead.
Would you? This was shared on our middle youth group the other day. I still don't know how I'm in that, but would you take beating Boston once and losing Boston once?
Yes.
Oh, what? Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. Because I think of the teams at the bottom, you have to say that the way they're playing at the moment, Boston are going to be favourites to get out. Just simply because they're winning so many games. I mean, it may change. The sort of pressure on them may change when they're in a position when they're out of the bottom 4, and then suddenly, we've got to stay here now. Whereas they're climbing the mountain at the moment, and once they get out of the bottom 4, maybe psychologically it'll be, we've got out, and that they've got to go again then to sort of stay there. But I think 3 points, any 3 points at the moment, are really important. And it may be that Maidenhead and Fylde and I'm just trying to think Dagenham, they might really struggle to get 3 points. So I would take a win and a loss rather than 2 draws. Yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to ask all of you now the same question. I don't think we need to preview the Forest Green game. It's too far ahead, and God knows what will have happened in that time. But now your colours to the mast. Right now, are you half glass full, we're staying up, or are you half glass empty, we're going down? Dave Leech, you first.
I'm going to say just staying up. Because I don't really think that. I think that other than Boston, I'm not sure about the form of the other sides at the bottom. So I'm saying we're just going to stay up.
Alex.
Fucking hell.
Don't overthink it.
I've got to say that we'll stay up. I think I don't think I'm ready to accept that we're going down. That's way too much.
Okay.
So yeah, I've got to say that we're staying up, but don't know.
Dave, Reader.
By the absolute skin of our teeth, we are just about going to scrape it, but I am absolutely shitting myself about the next 4 games. But
Is that going to be
I
the mother
think
of all ins?
we talk about it going to the last game, and I believe this season it really, really could go to the last game. But I can't. I can't not believe in the players we've got there. Otherwise, there's no point in me going to York Saturday, for instance. If I don't believe we can get something, there's no point in going. So we're just about going to scrape it, and we'll have a Leeds moment in the club that night.
Well, question for you, Hilsey. Would you? Do you think we're staying up?
I think a lot depends on the 11 players that we can put on the pitch. And given what I'm hearing about illness and injuries, if you force me right now, no, I don't think we'll stay up. But if we can keep those players and get them fit, yes, then I think we've got plenty.
Would you drop to all of you? I think it's such a tough decision. With Boston Tuesday, York on Saturday, would you put out a completely shitty B team against York just so everyone is match fit for Tuesday? Would you not take it, because we were speaking about it in the pub before, and there, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but some people are looking at York as a free hit. So is there any point in risking injury and risking fitness for a game 3 days later?
You cannot guarantee anything in football. So putting a weakened side out Saturday and then getting turned over Tuesday, then what do people say? You've got to take each game as it comes, and you've got to try and, in our situation, you've got to try and win every.
But I think there's some games more winnable than others, especially.
It's football, Alex. It's football. No game is more winnable than any other game. Football does
3 points is 3 points. Yeah.
We haven't got that luxury at the moment. We're not on mid-table. We haven't got that luxury of saying we can pick and choose. We've got to go for it every game. I know what you're saying.
I tend to agree. I wouldn't risk players who are genuinely not fit. I wouldn't be asking them to, do a favour or go through the pain barrier. But I also wouldn't be wrapping players in cotton wool and going, we're going to, put out bloody Wayne Andrews again or something like that.
Play Brett at the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luca in goal.
He'd certainly talk, wouldn't he? He'd be a talking goalkeeper.
Oh, I'd pay. I'd tell you what. I'd call my game off if Neil Gibson was to tell me that he weren't even putting Reed on the coach. He was taking Wayne Andrews up there. He was leaving the rest of them in at Brunel, putting Luca in goal, Rio at the back, Kilroy in the middle. I'd spend all my money to get on a train up to York and come and see that. What a side that would be.
I'll do the opposite.
I'll buy a train ticket off you, Dave. I'll buy a train ticket off you.
I suppose like you say, you don't want to risk players at this stage of the season if they're half fit. But I don't think you can. I don't think there's any games you can go into now with play a weakened side. I just don't think we're in that position that we could really do that at the moment, because every point's precious. We could put a decent side out on Saturday, grab a point, could put a really good team out on Tuesday and get beat, but that's you still have that point. So I don't know. I think you've got to go for every game really and try and get something out of every game.
Yeah, absolutely.
One game at a time, as I say.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, there'll be. I always come back to something that Stuart Maynard said time and time again, and we've experienced that to a T over the last 4 days. He always said, "Don't get too high with the highs and don't get too low with the lows." Right? There's so much football to be played, and we'll go through the ups and downs. There'll be so many results that are unexpected. So I agree. It's just got to be a game by game, and that is what can we get out of York Saturday. I'd say we probably go there in hope rather than expectation, but we'll support the boys. I'm going to suggest we maybe leave the on-pitch stuff there for the time being. I maybe just wanted to reflect on some news which actually broke couple of weeks ago now, but we obviously haven't really. I think it actually broke the day after the last cast was aired, which was the 13th of March, and this news came out on the 14th of March. I'll just pop it on screen from the Stones website. The announcement about long overdue, it seems, announcement about the council granting the exclusive rights to 2 sites for a period of 3 years. And again, just kind of round the table. I don't know who wants to go first there, but like, what is your understanding of what this means for our football club?
For me, it doesn't mean much. A great deal of difference than before the statement came out. I would imagine it just gives us an extra 3 years to get more investment in place. But again, I don't know whether investment is reliant on us staying in the National League or not. That's the sort of thing me as a supporter would like to know. If we was to get relegated, is the chance to get around? Is it still going to go ahead? Is the investment still going to be there, or is the investment not there? Is that why we're hanging on for another 3 years? The second site was a shock to me. I'm sort of along the lines of we can barely afford the major site, the ground, let alone a training ground.
Yeah.
I was under the impression we were looking to keep the Vale on as the training ground, but obviously not.
Yeah, and that's the bit that I'm maybe risk of reading between the lines and looking for things that aren't there. But I kind of came at it as getting the exclusive rights for a period of time. I think gives the potential investors some security. So I saw that as a very good announcement. Bear in mind, it's been 18 months since the original announcement. And the second announcement, the second site as a training ground, tells me that perhaps the Vale doesn't have a future, because I can't see them having. And I know there's been continued dialogue with the owners for a period of time, and it's, I think, very frustrating is probably the simplest way of putting it. But I mean, I saw that as quite a significant announcement, and I hope that provides the security to a potential investor that we're talking to. I think is it dependent on National League status? I think the answer may be no, but it may then alter the footprint or it's not this big, it's now this big, because we're going to build a stadium for National League South football. Again, all conjecture. Don't know that's the case. There's various rumblings around. I don't know what the truth is, but like, I only saw this as a positive thing, and the fact that the council and the new, government are kind of backing it is a big thing as well.
Sorry,
go on, Dave.
I just saw it as an opportunity. Just gives a bit of breathing space. As you say, anyone thinking of coming in, they've got time now. It isn't like all rush. There's a clock ticking. You've got to get this done now, or it's all going to disappear. I think that's, for me, it's just it gives the club breathing space. In terms of what we know about what's happening, I mean, obviously, until we see plans or some investors are identified or made public, all we can think of is that it's a positive move for the club, that it's going to go it's going in the right direction, and the council are on our side. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I long for the day when some solid announcement is made and a picture of what it might look like is put in front of us. I think that's when it will be real and very exciting. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, and we've been going for about 70 minutes so far. I think we've covered most of the agenda of what I wanted to. Dave, let me just, as of course, in your role as Supreme Coach Leader, what coaches have we got going? We haven't got one to York Saturday, have we?
No. Last coach of the season is to Boston on the 18th, isn't it? Good Friday.
Yeah.
We've got with 35 on there at the moment, so it's definitely running. Leaves at 8:45. So hopefully fill that out. We've probably got a pub lined up as well to go to, which is going to lay food on, etc. So should be a good day out on an absolute must-win game. So
I was going to say, yeah, what a weekend that's going to be with Boston Friday and Maidenhead on the Monday. Goodness me.
Yeah. It's not going to be a happy Easter. It's going to be quite a nervous Easter. But if you're thinking of going to if you've never been to an away game, get yourself to Boston.
Yeah. And tickets are on sale for the Barnet game, which of course is now a 12:30 kickoff, and some reason being streamed or live on DAZN, whatever it's called. That's the 12th of April. So yeah, tickets on sale. Go and get your tickets. Support the boys for that. See if we can get another borderline 1,000 crowd there. Guys, I think we've covered most of what I had. Anything that you guys want to bring? Any thoughts or anything from the Supporters Club AGM or the general AGM?
No, not really.
No, I didn't go to either.
Fair. Okay.
Well, from the supporters AGM, just buy a life membership, especially any of the.
I see you bought one, Alex. I see you bought one now.
Yeah. I've got one. Most of my lot have got one. I think there's a lot of people that come Stones and maybe don't even know about it. So if you go onto the Supporters Club website, if you just type in Willstone Supporters Club, it'll take you right to the website. It'll be one of the products in there. It's £20. It's absolutely nothing for a life membership to have your say from the Supporters Club, who are so important into to the club. I mean, so vital to the signings, the re-signings of Alex Reid, to the signings of Tyler Walker. So it's so vital that you can be part of that, and you can be and there's so many different things in terms of giving to the club. So I'd recommend anyone out there coming to Willstone, just it's that easy, 20 quid, life membership, one-off fee. And yeah, just kind of getting yourself more involved into the club, really. And the more people that we have, I think off the top of my head, Dave, you'll correct me, that they're trying to hit 500 members. They're about 300 right now. Is that right?
I believe so. Yeah.
So yeah, get yourself onto there. You don't have to have been coming the last 25 years. Like some people. I mean, for us and my group that go, we've only been coming the last kind of 5-6 years, and you know we'll be here for forevermore. So it's such a tiny little thing that you can do, but so big for the Supporters Club. So get yourself involved in it, buy your life membership, and help out the club, help out the Supporters Club. I mean, why not?
Good stuff. Well said. Right, chaps. Well, pleasure as always to share an evening with you. For those of you who are going to be at York, I'll see you there. From myself, Pilsy, from Dave, and Alex, have a good evening, and up the Stones.
Up the Stones.
Up the Stones.
Cheers, that was it.